All right, and I think we're set. Shadows, if you want to kick off the recording. Alpha Manu as well.
They're running.
Okay, fantastic. So, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you guys are. We're just super excited to have our 4th episode of our ActifIt Health and Fitness show. We have some great stuff for you tonight, as always. We'll be kicking off as a quick summary again about what ActifIt is for anyone who's joining new. What is ActifIt? ActifIt is actually a Steam-based app, a distributed application that incentivizes healthy lifestyle by rewarding your everyday activity. You go for a walk, you can get rewarded. You walk your dog, you go for a jog, you mow your lawn, you walk around the office. This is what ActifIt is about. We want you to be active, we want you to get rewarded, and your rewards are in both Steam as well as our own AFIT tokens. We've had, Happy Women's Day to all the lovely ladies. I'm just quoting Will and sending wishes from my own to all the women over there. So happy Women's Day, everyone. Last week we've had actually some huge news with ActifIt. I mean, probably something that every single ActiFitter has been waiting for. Whereby we actually announced 4 days ago the beginning of the exchange for AFIT tokens to actual Steam, which is done right now via Steam upvotes. So on March 4th, if I'm not mistaken, we actually initiated the opportunity or the potential for users of ActifIt and for holders of ActifIt to actually set up their own funds password and be able to utilize their own AFIT funds to substitute those for Steam upvotes which are done by the ActifIt account. This whole process is actually done by CryptoSpa. Happy you can join finally. So you can actually head to your own wallet at actifit.io/wallet, and this is where the magic happens. From there, you can actually click the exchange AFIT to Steam button, and from there you can set your funds password and then verify that via sending one Steam, which allows you to subscribe to this service. Of course, it's a one-time fee. So once you verify your password and your account and your subscription, then you are good to go and you can start exchanging your AFIT tokens for Steam upvotes. And we've had a massive participation from the community so far. We've had over 200 people sign up for using the exchange service. We have, I mean, our queue is actually huge right now. So the way it works is that we cannot in any way possible give out the exchanges within one reward cycle because our Steam power is limited, our voting power is limited, so we can actually just give a maximum of 40 exchanges per voting round, so that's essentially per day, and that's what we're doing. And right now we actually have a queue of over 100 pending exchanges. So yeah, the current queue might take a few days on its own to get complete, and the sooner you get your you set up your exchange to happen, the earlier your exchange will actually take place. So the exchange occurs with your current ActifIt report. It has to be with proof of activity, meaning it has to have a minimum of 5,000 activity. We are currently allowing you to exchange 5, 10, 15, or 20 AFIT tokens. And the price for AFIT token, we actually set it at 3.6 cents. So that's $0.036. And this is the approximate amount of Steam upvote that we're giving you. We're actually taking into consideration the curation reward and the beneficiary. So we're giving you a higher upvote so that your final reward will actually be around this amount. So now you're practically getting almost 3.6 cents for every AFIT token that you are exchanging. This is, I mean, this is something we're really happy to have accomplished so far, and we'll have tons of more updates as we go down the road. Like I said, the queue is long. Sometimes you guys have to wait for a few days to actually get the exchange to take place. But I mean, this is the start. We also did cross a big milestone whereby Actifit has crossed 300,000 Steam power. This is huge for us. We actually want to make this even bigger. We hope so. I mean, we're seeking more support from the community, and everyone who's upvoting, who's delegating to Actifit is actually earning more AFIT tokens. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. We have noticeably seen a growth in the number of submissions of Actifit reports, and more importantly, in the number of rewarded Actifitters. So last few, I mean, we've had several reports, daily Actifit reward reports that crossed the 400 rewarded Actifitters per session. In fact, today, I believe we have reached almost all-time high with 428 rewarded Actifitters. That is, I mean, that's just amazing. We're quite happy. I mean, I don't believe we have reached such a number ever. It's a huge milestone. We're really happy, and we can just see things going even much bigger going forward. So within those few days, like 4 days, we've had over 4,000 AFIT tokens exchanged, or at least pending to be exchanged. At least half of those are actually processed. The tokens that are getting exchanged are actually going back to the reward pool. Many people have asked that. So what's happening to the AFIT tokens? We're actually bringing those back to the reward pool so that people will actually be able to retrieve those in return of their activity. So it's like you guys are earning your AFIT tokens, and then, okay, so you pay them to get Steam upvotes, you're exchanging them for upvotes, and then those AFIT tokens are going back to the reward pool so that you guys can use them again, can earn them via your activity, and then you can exchange them over and over again for Steam upvotes. So I think this is something we're really happy to be able to provide to our community. This is a long-term vision whereby we want to be able to sustain the project on a very long term, and that is one move to make that happen. One problem probably a few people who use the password with the funds have faced, which is sometimes they use special characters, and we actually put a note today on the website where you are setting your password to avoid special characters, because they clearly cause some problems. And any case we've heard of, we actually fixed that. We reset the first password, and then whoever had the problem now is no longer facing that, and they're able to schedule their exchange. So yeah, we're quite excited. We're really happy to have reached this milestone. We promise you more advancements, more growth for Actifit, and we're just so proud to have such an active community around us. We love having you guys, and go ahead, exchange away your tokens. I mean, I've heard people who don't want to exchange AFIT tokens, and that's completely fine. They want to hodl them, and we cannot argue with that. So yeah, whatever makes you guys happy, I mean, you're free to do that. So yeah, that's basically in a nutshell what Actifit has been up to. So moving on to our main topic of the evening, we have Steve C, who is our main guest for tonight. We're really happy to have you, Steve. Steve has been active on Actifit. He's had reports for a very long time. I think his first report was like 6 or 7 months ago with Actifit. I know he's someone who's trying to be committed to the activity and the active lifestyle in his own way. He has some great initiatives on Steam blockchain. He started also a fantastic idea for helping out the minnows and bringing people to bigger status of minnowhood, if we want to term it as such, with the Steam blockchain, alongside Paula G, and I'm not sure if anyone else is on board. So we're really happy to have him tonight to talk about himself, his fitness journey, his team journey, his Actifit journey, and his amazing initiative. So Steve, I hope you can hear us and you can talk.
Hi.
Hello, Steve.
Hi. Yeah, I'm here.
So we're really happy to have you, and I would love to just get started with who Steve C is.
Okay, if I can sum that up. Okay, so I'm a British guy, as you may be able to tell from my accent. Let's say I'm into my 50s now, so I'm not a young guy, but I've been playing around with the internet ever since I could, and I've worked in IT for 30 odd years, so I've seen lots of changes in that, and
Wow.
these social networks and things came along, and I've played with all sorts of things. Obviously the big ones, like got into Facebook when that got big, but there's some other ones I played with that died off. I mean, I don't know if anyone saw a thing called Multiply, and then must be 4 or 5 years ago, I found a thing that was called tsu.co. It's a site that's died now, and their thing was that they paid their users from the advertising revenue, which was a nice idea, but after less than 2 years, their investors pulled out, and that died a death, unfortunately. But I got to meet a lot of people through that, and one of them, who's called the Bitcoin Dude on Steemit, introduced me to Steam, or Steemit as it just was then.
Okay.
And so I've been on Steemit for 2.5 years now. So I wasn't one of the very early ones, but in the first 6 months or so.
That's early enough, Steve. Much earlier than myself.
So it's about 2.5 years now, and it's been quite a ride, I have to say. I mean, I've met so many people, and I've been to Steamfest twice in Lisbon and Krakow, which is I have to. If you can get to a Steamfest, I recommend it. You'll just make so many friends, and I've also been to London events and met people. So I love the social side of these things, I have to say. I mean, the money's a nice thing, but I've got a job. I don't need it to live, and it's a nice little bonus you get from this thing. But I quite like being able to help people out. And when I first saw Steemit, I just saw the potential for people around the world to benefit from this thing without advertising, and censorship shouldn't be an issue. It's going to be interesting to see how that develops. But,
and there's a fine saying that sells on Steam: "Come for the money and stay for the community."
Yeah,
I think that's
something I said the same sort of thing when I was on Sue, and even wrote a song about it.
Oh, we're gonna jump into your musical side as well down the road, down the chat. But so you told me you've been like 30 years on the IT side, and you've been following up on the technology for that long.
Yeah, I mean, I've kept track of what's been happening in the world. I mean, these days you just can't keep up with everything. There's so much going on. I mean, I get a lot of my news through Steam these days, and I keep hearing about other blockchains and other social sites, and I've looked into some of those things like Minds and Bitlanders, but none of them seem to quite have what Steam has got, the same sort of community. There's a lot of people on those who are just after the money and don't say anything. But you find real people on Steam, I find, and real smart people as well. I mean, there's I've had some very interesting conversations. I don't always agree with people, but it's interesting to hear what they have to say. I mean, if you go to some of these meetups and you find yourself with a sore throat after an hour because you just got there's so much you want to say to people. And Steamfest, I mean, everyone loses their voice after the first day, I think. But I mean, you meet these people who are almost sort of legends in the community, some of the witnesses, and you think, oh, it's a real person. Like Block Trades is a real guy, and he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Were you at Steamfest as well?
No, I haven't, and I would love to join, hopefully next year on the Steamfest, and I'll probably take your advice and bring along some strepsils or something for the throat, just make sure I
keep drinking and stuff. I wasn't sure if you were there last time, but because it's easy to miss people. I mean, there's like 300 people there, and you can't hear all the talks and talk to everyone, but
absolutely.
And ActifIt, I think I heard about it when it came out, and I have to be honest, I think I played with it when it started, and then I may have let it slip for a while, and I've been just sort of posting through other things. But I've come back to it recently, and I see it's improved. I think originally you couldn't post images directly from the app, which was obviously a disadvantage.
Yeah, we've come a long way since we started.
And it's great. And, I mean, this thing you're saying about being able to buy extra votes, I mean, that's a nice incentive for people, and it meshes in nicely with my other projects that we'll talk about in a bit.
Yeah. So before we jump to ActifIt and more details, so in terms of the athletic or the health lifestyle of yours, I mean, I've read several of your posts, and you being active right now and just doing all this activity, that's a great sign. And I think I've seen you on trying like some marathons or something like that. You do runs. So how's the lifestyle of yours? How's the health the health activity and the activity levels of yours? How are you doing that? Have you been active all your life, or is it just now? Or how do you qualify yourself in terms of an active person?
Okay, I mean, I have to say, most of my life I have not been a sporty person. At school, I was the sort of geeky one. I mean, I never had sort of weight problems, so that wasn't so much an issue. But I was never any good at soccer or rugby or anything. I mean, I used to do the cross-country running that we all had to do and hated it. The only time I ever won was when they did a handicap system, so I was one of the first to set off, and sometimes I've managed to be first one back. But,
sign me up, please.
I see. So I've never really done much. I mean, I've done odd spells when I've had access to a gym and used it. There was a place I worked where they had a gym that was very cheap, so I did that. But about five so years ago, I thought I need to do something. I'm starting to get a bit flabby, and I've got kids. I mean, my kids are in their late teens now, but I was sort of thinking, can I keep up with my kids as I'm getting older? So I decided to do something. So I thought, well, let's try running it, because where we live, you've got to drive 20 minutes or more to get to a gym, and especially at that time, I was driving a long way to work every day, and I didn't want to do any extra driving, so I had some old training shoes and put them on and ran around the block, and then I was huffing and puffing for an hour, and I gradually worked my way up. And having these apps that we have these days makes it interesting, because you can see how you've done. I mean, I use one called Endomondo.
I know about them.
The only reason I really got it is because it was on special offer on the Google App Store, and I thought that'll do. And it's had its issues, but it still gives me ridiculous readings for top speed sometimes. The craziest one was when I cycled at 5,000 kilometers an hour.
Okay.
So I don't always trust those readings, but for general stats, it tells me what I've done, and then it has training programs and stuff. Because mostly I run by myself. I did find a local running group I ran a few times with, and there's some other people I've hooked up with through Facebook and stuff from the village. And yeah, I've just kept running, and it's varied. Sometimes I've had an injury for whatever and haven't been able to run, and it goes a bit backwards, but it's generally been a couple of times a week. And then now I'm trying to get up to 3 times a week, so maybe 20, 25 kilometers a week. So I do.
I always say, I mean, doing sports 1 time a week or 2 times a week, that's much better than doing 0 times a week.
Yeah, so, I mean, even 1 time's good, but yeah, I mean, the only sport I've done in the last 20 years was I did some Aikido for a while.
Wow.
Which I liked, but there was another thing I had to drive to. So I did a few belts on that, and I did like it, and maybe I'll go back to it sometime. But then I did find my fitness was an issue, that when we got to some hard training sessions, I was struggling, but I wasn't running at that stage. And but I got to the stage where I could do sort of 10K plus on a run, and you're talking about marathons. I mean, the longest one I've done is a half marathon locally, which is one that goes all the way around to one of the towns. They have a sort of cycle track that goes round, and I'm hoping to do that again this year. That's in a couple of months. I need to get registered for that, but I've done lots of 10K races and other shorter ones. And
well, that's really fantastic. And Steve, do you see Actifit helping in any way? I mean, with you, I mean, you're obviously committed, but do you see Actifit helping in any way in you maybe tracking or maybe rewarding or incentivizing somehow? I mean, at least that's how we...
Yeah, I mean, it does incentivize you. I mean, compared to some other apps, it gives you only really gives you a step count, whereas other things are going to tell you maybe the intensity of the exercise, and some of them, like, because I have several running, because I've got the Google Fit app as well, which tells you if you've done more intensive exercise, and that they have a point system, but obviously you're not getting anything for that. But I think, I mean, think something like Actifit, where people are getting something that has a tangible benefit. I mean, I'm not so worried about what I get from it, but I think it's building a nice community around it. And it's going to be interesting to see how it goes with the points. I was reading some of your posts saying that they could have a large soon, depending on how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, definitely our longer term vision is to grow the Actifit token, the AFIT token, value over time, and to grow the whole project to reach more people. And I mean, integrating with all these wearables is something we're really working on. I mean, we've had Fitbit so far. We're working on the Garmin integration, and Monto is actually has been brought to my attention several times in the past, and we have it on the list. It's just that there's tons of those wearables now, and integrating with all of them will take a whole lot of time. So we'll integrate with those as we go. And I think the more we integrate with, the more valuable Actifit is, and the easier it will be for people to actually use Actifit and to benefit from it. We really want to reach out to all the active communities, anyone who really wants to live healthier and to track all their activity, to do that in as simple way as possible.
Yeah, so how many people are actually developing it?
Developing what? Actifit?
Yeah.
Oh, there's essentially me, I'm the core developer, and we've had an iOS developer who's helping, but we've had to change him a couple of times. We've had people help out in the past, but they're no longer working on the Steam blockchain. So I'm the core developer speaking.
So you've managed to achieve quite a lot just given those limited resources, because a lot of these projects and products probably have big teams. And they've got commercial sponsorship to cover things. And I mean, I think the Endomondo have Under Armour sponsor them, so they have competitions that are also sponsored, and they obviously have quite a lot of users, because I see tens of thousands of people doing those. So the sort of competition you've got. But
actually, they're not really our competition, Steve, the way we see it. I mean, they are something that we can actually use and use their API to actually fetch their data and feed it to Actifit and reward people who are using their their tools. I mean, like with Fitbit. So Fitbit, they have 25 million active users, and we integrate with Fitbit. So our hope is that the Fitbit users, once they realize they can actually earn money via their Fitbit by feeding the data to ActifIT, they will use it. And we've seen lots of people on the Steam blockchain who use their Fitbit devices and feed the data to ActifIT and get rewarded for it. So we're not really looking at all these wearables as competitors. They're essentially helping tools, if you want to look at it this way, so that if people own those devices, they can just use them instead of the phone and get rewarded via posting to ActifIT.
Oh, that's great. I mean, it's you're adding value to those applications then.
Absolutely, and to the people. I mean, eventually the core concern for us is helping people to get more incentivized to get healthy. And if you're already healthy, I mean, get paid for it. Why not?
Yeah. Great.
What about your Steam journey? How's that going? So you started 2.5 years ago. What kept you going? How's that working out so far?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have to say, in the early days, I had the usual experience of hardly making anything. I mean, sort of the odd cent here and there. I mean, you have to understand that the Steam ecosystem has changed a lot over that time. Initially, the voting weight was different, so Wales had it was a sort of exponential rate, so they might have 1 million times the power of us minnows, and the amount of Steam power you needed to give a cent of vote has varied quite a lot, and obviously the Steam price has varied a lot. I mean, I've seen $8 and I've seen 6 cents. So when people say it's low at 25 cents, I think, that's nothing. But I kept going because I enjoyed the social side, and we've got all sorts of communities have formed, and including a running community. There's the Running Project group, which some of you may have seen.
Oh yeah, of course. And we actually sponsored the running group for a while, although they haven't ran their competition for a while. I think it's Too Fast Eddie, who's handling that one.
Yeah, I remember you sponsored some of the Runner of the Week thing, which I won once or twice, I think.
Yeah.
So thanks for doing that. Yeah, but they're a good group of people, and they inspire each other. I mean, some of those guys are what I'd call proper runners. I mean, I see some of these other people, and they run twice as fast as I do, and I think, okay, I'm not going to get there. But we each have our own journey with these things. I'm not going to enter big competitions, and I think if I'm finishing in the top third of a park run, I'm doing all right, really, at my age and experience.
Yeah, and we actually see that side. I mean, even on ActifIT, I mean, we have those really competitive people who can actually land over 100,000 activity per day, like 100,000 steps. And April is one of them, the Reiki Forest. We just love having her around. We have several of those people who have hit some high numbers, and it can get too competitive. I mean, we're fine with that, although our main purpose is for people to be healthy. And as long as you're happy with what you're doing, I mean, who are we to judge?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at there's Roger 5120, and I've seen her at the top of the charts, and she's got like 50,000, and I think, is that real? But then, I mean, I was talking to my sister. I mean, she has a Fitbit, and she says she regularly clocks up sort of 20, 30,000 steps a day, just sort of doing the school run and stuff. I mean, I think my most in a day is maybe 25,000, but I'm actually more active than I used to be, because I was driving to work until a couple of years ago. And now I get the train and have to walk some of the distance, so I can clock up a few thousand a day, whereas before, if I did 2,000 in a day, I was doing well, and if I didn't run. So I'm generally more active now, which is good, and also working a lot closer to home, which is a better quality of life.
Absolutely.
Time to do things. And I mean, where I work is only about 10 miles from where I live, so sometimes I can cycle home There's a nice off-road route, so that's an extra
amazing
exercise. I'll do that when the weather gets a bit better.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm a lot more active than I was even 5 years ago. I mean, it shows in my weight and general figure. I've got less of a gut, and which I'm quite happy with. I was never really overweight, but I was going the wrong way, and I wanted to do something.
But you feel fit, right?
Reasonably, most of the time. I mean, there's the odd time when I think, oh, I'm struggling a bit, but I mean, I can jog up some stairs and not be out of puff at the top. These days, a lot of people don't get much activity. I mean, it's a big problem. But my working day is, because I'm in IT, I'm sitting down all day. But
yeah.
Actually, where I work, just to go to the toilet, I have to go down two sets of stairs and up another one. So that's a bit of exercise several times a day.
It is. I mean, once I used to go to work, I had to go to an office when I was employed. The vision I had for me to get active was to actually avoid the elevators and just take the stairs. And I used to climb like 5-6 stories every day, up and down, just to get to work and leave work. And that was something like, because I'm in IT field as well, in management. I had to get myself moving. Otherwise, it's just sitting all the time, and that's just terrible.
Yeah, well, my previous job, I used to take the stairs sometimes, and that was 18 floors.
Wow.
That was a reasonable workout.
My goodness. And I see Rogering typing there. Yeah, Rogering, I mean, she's just one of those people who's constantly almost getting 40 to 50K. And I think she's one of those Fitbit users, right, Rogering? We just love having her and her high levels of activity.
Yeah, I was just looking at one of her posts. I mean, yeah. But I mean, for a lot of people, time is the issue. I mean, if you're stuck in an office all day and then you have a long drive, you don't necessarily feel like getting out and doing some exercise, but I've made it part of my routines. So, I mean, what I generally do is I do a long run on a Sunday morning, and then where I work, they've got some showers, so I can go for a run at lunchtime once a week. So, and where I am, there's some cycle tracks, so you can run around those, or you can even actually get out into the countryside a bit. Yeah. I mean, it's harder for someone if you're in the middle of a city. It's not the nicest environment to run in.
Oh, absolutely.
But I see people doing these things. I see people running in the snow, and people will do what they can. And
snow is actually a favorite topic of April's. She loves shoveling. It's because of her we probably added shoveling as an activity on ActifitMar8.
Yeah, I think I noticed that because one of the I think is it Boz? I know on Steam, and where he lives, they've had a lot of snow. Where we are, we hardly get any snow, so it's not too much of an issue. Although I did I was in Berlin in January, and I did the park run there in the snow.
Wow. And I see Alpha Mano loves the stairs, and so does Will.
Yeah.
It's like stairs have their own fans.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good exercise. I mean,
it is. And very good for the heart, for everything.
Yeah.
So that's just amazing, Steve. I just love your enthusiasm, how you're committed to really living healthier, and that just speaks 1,000 words on its own. So how about that music journey? I mean, I see that guitar, and does that have a story?
Well, I've played guitar on and off most of my life. I did classical guitar when I was a kid, and then I got an electric guitar when I was a student. But it was mostly just playing at home, and just trying
more of a hobby.
And it's still a hobby. But and then some years ago, I found some guys who had a band who wanted a guitarist, and I rehearsed with them. But we never actually got to do any performances, and I had a couple of other things like that. But what I did, I wanted to get something going, so I started going to an acoustic session at a pub in another village, and that actually got me into singing, which I didn't think I could really do. And I did that for a while, and then I thought, well, I want something near me, so I talked to the local pub and some local people, and mostly through Facebook we found people for a meet up, and we got a session going at the pub that's like 100 yards from where I live, and that's really grown into something. We've got a nice community of people, and we can have a dozen people in there on a Wednesday night just playing each other songs, and then we have an open mic once a month where we get microphones and stuff and perform to friends and family. And it's just a nice community of people who support each other. I mean, you've got total beginners who I've seen turn into performers. I mean, you've got some people who are almost professional level. And we've actually, there's a young lady there, I mean, she's about 20 now, she wasn't a very confident performer, but she's come up and started writing songs, and now she's just got herself enrolled in music college. So she's going to go off and do that.
Fantastic.
And it's just great to see all this. And some years ago, it's really when I was still on 2, I started writing some silly little songs. And so
yeah, you were saying something about writing a song. So yeah.
Yeah, so I've written a few songs now. I mean, they're mostly sort of comedy things. Some of them are a little more serious. They're not very complicated songs. I quite like writing the words, really, and then I just put some simple chords to it. So
Cool.
And I've got a few guitars that I've acquired for myself. I'm not a massive guitar collector, but also got into playing the ukulele, which is just an extra little fun thing.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And just bought another one of those, which was a nice one. And
yeah, it's a fun device, I'll say, the ukulele.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you think guitar is too complicated, you play the ukulele. It's easy.
Yeah.
a lot of kids are learning it now, and there's a lady who comes to our sessions who plays the clarinet, and we've got we play some sort of old time jazz songs together. We're even looking at maybe doing some performing with that, making a bit of an act. But it's all just for fun. I've never made money from playing music. I mean, the nearest I've come was I gave someone a couple of guitar lessons and he gave me some money for it. But I'm really an amateur musician, and I think it's a bit late in the day to look at a career in music, but you can enjoy it anyway. I mean, it's just...
Maybe our next successful DAP will be something around the music.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'll have to say that a big part, something that's inspired me, is the open mic contest on Steam, which is run by Lucy, who I've met a couple of times at Steam Fest. I mean, that guy, I mean, the effort he's put into organising that, so that there'd sometimes be 100 or more people competing for nice prizes. I've won a couple of little prizes on that, but there really are some really good performers on there. So if you like checking out music, everyone should have a look at that and give them support. Because as we'll get onto, I think we have to support the good stuff on Steam. I mean, there's a lot of people...
Absolutely.
Who'll just say, oh, here's a picture of my cat. Not that there's anything wrong with cats. I've got a cat and my cat has a Steam account. But you see a lot of fairly low quality stuff. And okay, if you like it, give it a vote. But if there's people who've put real effort into producing a piece of music or a video or some high quality photography or writing, or there's lots of comic artists who are putting their work up, and some of these people, that's their job. And if we can make Steam a bigger part of what they do, they'll bring in their friends, and it'll grow. We need to sort of plant the seeds that will make Steam big. That's what I want to see.
Absolutely. I mean, Steam is the platform we're on, and of course we want it to grow. And we'll support however way that's possible. So speaking of support and growing Steam, I know you've had this initiative for supporting minnows alongside Paula G. You want to give some more details about that, what you guys are doing? And I mean, Paula G already chatted to me about it, and you left me also a quick comment about this. And I think you also spoke on Pensiv's call yesterday about this. Yeah. We would love to tell the ActifIT audience here more about what you're doing and what plans you have.
Okay, so I see Pensiv is on the listening in. So
hello, Pensiv.
So he's been posting sort of daily updates on what's been going on around Steam. And part of that, he included some statistics about the numbers of minnows and dolphins and orcas and whales. And I noticed that the number of minnows.
Pensive penguin.
Yeah. So the number of minnows seems to be stuck on about 9,200, and I think we're just under 2,000 dolphins. And these figures weren't changing. I thought, that why aren't they changing? That's a problem if they're not changing, because we need active people who've got an investment in this platform. So I had a little comment exchange with Pensive on one of these posts, and I say, well, we should try and get to 10,000 minnows, and I think he said, oh, we should have a 10,000 minnows challenge or project. So I thought, okay, and I did a couple of posts about it, and then people just sort of seem to come into it. I mean, Paula has been running the Redfish Support League, I think it's called, and there's a Minnow Support League. So she's been doing something like this, but obviously this and some of the other initiatives haven't been quite enough because the numbers aren't going up. So we've been sort of brainstorming on that with ideas. So Paula's very good at pulling in sort of stuff from the Steam blockchain, the data. So she's drawn up lists of people who are on the threshold of becoming a minnow. So they're at sort of 425 Steam and above, or Steam power. Yeah. And there's also people who maybe haven't got quite enough Steam power, but if they powered up all their Steam, they would be a minnow. So we're talking to some of those people, and so we said if these people who are nearly there, if they do some posts saying they're going to invest in Steam and power up, then we'll give them some support. And we've had some great support from some large accounts who say yes, we'll stand behind this, and some of the other dApps will say they'll support it, but we're still sort of working out what we can do for them to minimise the work for them. So Paul has set up there is a 10k minnows account which will re-Steam stuff, and it's had some delegation from a few of us, and it will vote up these posts so people can, and there's voting trails for that people can follow if they want to give some support to those minnows, because some of them, they only need about 30 Steam to get to 500. And that will affect the statistics.
A very small margin, really.
Yeah. I mean, but I'll also say, if you can afford it, buy some Steam. It's going to cost you $200 to be a minnow. It's not a lot of money, really. I mean, for some of us. I mean, obviously, if you're living in a very poor country, I mean, $5 a month is a lot of money. I know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to people from Venezuela, and they say life is really tough, and I appreciate that some people need to take out the money they make from Steam to pay for their rent or something, and it's a valuable extra income for them. So you can't put people down for powering down. I think if they need the money, they need it. But
absolutely,
for a lot of us,
especially if someone is making a living off Steam, I mean, they just need every money they get. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but most of us, you just can't live on Steam these days because when it was $8, maybe. I mean, I saw a lot of people were trying to do that, but at the moment, the price is going up, which is good. I don't know if that's sustainable, but it's getting better. So, but I know Lucifer, he's living in Thailand now, I think, because the cost of living's low enough that he can pay for a lot of his stuff with what he makes on Steam.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah, but for a lot of us, that's not an option. I mean, I make, I don't know, maybe $30 a week from Steam, which isn't going to buy me much. It's one meal.
I agree. Yeah. Especially in Britain.
Yeah. I mean, I have taken some out. I mean, I bought one of my guitars with what I made on Steam, and I paid for my Steamfest trips with it because it was hard to justify it from the family bank account. But so I could have a lot more. I mean, I'm up to about 16,500 Steam power, and that almost all of that is earned. I have bought maybe a couple $100 worth of Steam, but that's about it. But I know other people who've invested thousands.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, we've had Dan. They called me Dan like a couple of weeks back, and he's one of the major people who invested in Steam. So yeah, I've seen people who invested tons of money there,
yeah, and
and it's
some of them
great.
invested when it was several dollars, so they're
Yes.
running at a loss at the moment. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping it'll pay off for them in the long run.
It will. I mean, it's certainly looking like that, and we definitely have large faith in Steam as a blockchain, as a community, and as a placeholder for dApps. It certainly has all the potential,
Yeah,
and
I
I
mean
think the
the dApps
community
is.
is.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. It's just that I think the community and the dApps have the potential to lead the way more so than any other factor, and I think that's how it's going to grow.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw at Steamfest that the dApps have really taken off over now, and I know a lot of people have a downer on Steam It Inc., but they are working now, and if you listen to Pensiv's shows, he's getting Ned and some of the other team on the show to talk about what they're doing, and we're seeing some progress there now. I mean, we're still waiting for the communities feature and SMTs and stuff, but people are doing their own things, creating their own tokens now, and I know people are working on their own community features around that are hooked onto Steam, and I think the dApps really add a lot of value. I mean, I'm using quite a few of them. I've started playing with Partico, and I've used eSteam quite a lot, and I've used Busy, and I've played Steam Monsters and a bit of Drug Wars. I'm not so into Drug Wars. I find Steam Monsters more fun, but I'm not worried about what I make on it, really.
Yeah. And that's, by the way, one of the reasons why I also believe that, and that's one of the reasons actually Actifit has a witness, because I believe being a witness for the dApps is something of importance to leading the way for change on the Steam blockchain, and self-promoting for Actifit. If you guys don't vote for Actifit as a witness yet, give it a witness vote. So yeah,
I mean, I think I've voted for you, but I need to check because I always use all my votes, and I think it's important that people do vote for the witnesses because that's your influence on where Steam is going, and I base my votes on what value people are adding to Steam.
Yeah,
and there's some people there they don't seem to do much, but there's other people are really working hard. I mean, you've got the dApp developers, and you've got Roland P. I mean, just the work he puts into Steamfest is worth a vote because
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I've seen how hard that guy works, and I've met quite a few witnesses at Steamfest, and I mean, they're all nice people. I mean, you have to accept that on Steam you're going to get some people who aren't so nice. We all know certain people who go around causing trouble.
It's life.
Yeah, I mean, it's the cost of freedom.
Huh?
We've got total freedom there, so we can do what we like, and some people will choose to abuse that freedom, and it's a shame. But part of this thing of building up the minnows is we refer to it as having a larger middle class. So it's more people who've got some voting power. So being a minnow gives you about a cent's worth of vote. So if you've got 1,000 minnows vote for something, that's $10.
Yeah.
And at the moment, they're quite a small force. If you look at the voting power of all the minnows as against one or two orcas or whales, and it's not as much. So we need more people who can have more influence. I mean, I won't go into a rant now, but I'm not a big fan of all the vote selling that goes on because it sort of distorts the system, and you got people bumping up their accounts and their reputations. You'll notice some of the really high reputations are just from paid votes, and it's not based on what the community likes, which is not it's not how Steam was intended to be. But Steam Inc. don't seem to be interested in changing that. And people say, "Oh, they could just ban the bots." Well, how do you? It
wouldn't work. Yeah.
It's a sort of power to the people thing, I think.
So there's a quick question by Will. He's asking, when will you guys start selling Steam? So like you say, Steve, Steam has been at 8 down to 6 cents. Personally, I can see a $20 Steam price down the road. So when will you start selling Steam?
Well, I say I have sold Steam. I mean, not always at the best times. It was when I needed the money. I mean, last Steam Fest, I was powering down and the price was going down. And so it cost me quite a lot of Steam to go to Steam Fest, but that was more important to me than
it was needed. Yeah.
I mean, there was a time last year, just about a year ago, and I think when my Steam was worth almost $100,000, which is a nice amount of money. But by the time I'd have powered down, I mean, it's 13 weeks now. When it started, it was 2 years to power down.
Yeah, true.
By the time I powered down, it was worth a lot less, but I resisted. And okay, it's worth a few $1,000s now, but to be honest, I don't need that money at the moment, and I'd rather keep it invested in the platform so I can do some good.
Yeah.
I mean, of my 16,000 Steam, half of it is delegated to other people, mostly to small accounts who I think can make good use of it. And I mean, some of it to projects as well. And I think delegation is one of the most powerful tools on the project, because you can give someone the power to use your Steam without actually giving them the Steam. You can take it back any time. So things like the 10K minnows, I've delegated to that so it can give a bigger vote. And I lose some curation rewards, but that's not a huge amount for me every week, so I'm happy to do that. It's a case of,
it's like a loan,
what do you want for Steam?
Money.
Yeah, it's a case of, do you want the platforms to do well, or do you just want the quick buck? And I'm not bothered about the quick buck.
Yeah. Crypto Spy, I didn't say, wasn't my statement about the $20. I was just reading Will's projection. It can go to $20. It can go to $100.
Yeah, but nobody knows. I mean, at the beginning of last year, Bitcoin was $20,000, and now it's less than $4. And people say, "Oh, go to $1 million." And there's McAfee making these wild claims of what he'll do. It doesn't, and
it doesn't.
Yeah, but really, nobody knows. I mean, crypto, there's no precedent for this stuff, and Bitcoin's about 10 years old now, and it's still not really mainstream. And now we've got thousands of different cryptocurrencies. So they can't all succeed, really. I mean, but there's so much speculation going on, and I keep an eye on the markets just out of interest to see where it's going, even if I'm not buying or selling. I just don't have money to invest in Steam at the moment with my own finances, but it seems the Koreans are buying and selling a lot of Steam, so we have to thank a lot of the time. And I know there's a big community there, but I think they've sort of got their own thing going, and you don't necessarily see it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen those bumps before due to Korea. I'm not sure if this recent one has the same reason. It could, I don't know.
I mean, it's not always obvious why the price has changed.
Absolutely.
It might be that Steam got on another exchange.
Yeah, we did land on few recent exchanges, which was really excellent news. I mean, Steemit Inc. has been doing some good job with that, so we're happy.
And I said they should be talking to other companies. I mean, I met Andraki and Birdink at Steamfest, and I think it's Birdink, and he was saying he's been talking to all sorts of companies. I know Starkers on the Oracle D project is trying to get companies to invest in Steam.
True.
And that's where it was going to take it forward. But the problem, if you're trying to sell it to someone, they'll say, well, okay, how many people use it? And if you say, okay, it's even 50,000, that's not a big number in internet terms. I mean, I'm just looking at, because the Real Wolf and some other people, I think it was Soy Rosa, got Steam onto State of the Dapps and getting onto other things. And you look on State of the Dapps, and the top two are Steemit and Drug Wars, and I think ActifitMar8's about the 20th on there, but they're up against Ethereum and other things. So
I mean, among over 2,000 dApps on State of the dApps, I mean, having at least 10 Steam dApps in the top 20 or I don't know, in the top 40, that's amazing.
Yeah, it shows how don't think any other blockchain has got the same sort of community as Steam.
Absolutely.
That's its real advantage. And yeah, I mean, people aren't blogging on Bitcoin, or there might be things with Ethereum. I'm not so familiar with that. I mean, Steam is the only thing I've got any significant amount of. I've got little bits of other things, but I've acquired. But yes.
So just to close on that point about the 10,000 Minnow support project, how's the timeline for that, Steve? And by the way, Paula spoke to us, and we did say as Actifit, because some of the minnows she contacted were interested in Actifit or using Actifit. So we are committed to helping with that. I mean, we just need to figure out the exact details, how it will work out, but we're happy for Actifit to support with this effort. But do you have a timeline, any time frame, how this is going to progress? I know there's chats with other dApps, etc.
Yeah, so, I mean, the overall target is to get to 10,000 minnows by the end of the year, which would be great. I mean, if you look at the number of people, new accounts being created on Steam, I mean, it's hundreds a day. So where are these people going? We need to get those people participating and active if they are all real people. But Paula said, well, let's set a target of getting 250 this month, 250 extra minnows. Yeah. And if you look at the ones who are nearly there and the ones who could just power up, that should be possible. But the ones we've contacted so far, we've not had that many saying they're interested. Maybe people are suspicious of what is this scheme? Should I be investing in it? We're like people handing out leaflets somewhere that most people will walk past because they think it's a scam. But yeah, we're doing this for the community. We're not doing it for ourselves. And we've got some good support for it. And if we can just spread it by word of mouth, and the word does seem to be spreading. And yeah. We're not necessarily going to create apps and stuff around it, but we're just trying to make it a community effort to support people who need it, and maybe take less for ourselves and our friends who are better off, and spread the wealth around a bit. And we're just highlighting the people who could benefit from that. But any support from the dApps would be great. But I think just if somebody doesn't know what to do on Steam to gain a bit, use Actifit. I mean, all you've got to do is, 5,000 steps a day to get a vote from you? That's absolutely. Yeah, that's not that much. A lot of people will be doing that anyway. So it might just be a few cents a day, but yeah, if you can make it a few extra Steam a week, you'll be a minnow in a year. Absolutely. And just 500 Steam in a few years could be many thousands of dollars. You never know. Oh yeah, it definitely could. We've seen the growth possible, and it's nothing out of the ordinary. It could happen. I've seen just a quick question from Altruistic Seudus. You just need to go to your Actifit settings and make sure you have aggressive tracking on, and just change your battery settings so that it doesn't turn off Actifit in the background. I've had it turned off sometimes, but it mostly seems to work. So I'll keep an eye on that, make sure it's running. There's a couple of times I've gone for a run and then realised it wasn't running. So yeah. But, it happens. I mean, we're trying to improve this, but with Android, it's really terrible and it's difficult because of all the versions and all the different devices. Yeah, I can empathise with that when you've got so many different hardware configurations. Altruistic, please chat to us on the Discord, on Actifit Discord, and one of the moderators will try to help you with that. Anyway, well, thanks for having me on. It's been a fun chat. Steve, it's a pleasure. We're really happy and we're excited to see how well you're doing on your health and fitness journey, your Steam journey, your fun music time you're spending. And the minnow support, the 10,000 minnow support, that's a fantastic initiative. We really wish you guys the best. We'll try to support as much as possible. So just look out for the 10K minnows account and the 10K minnows tag. Look out for those, and you'll see stuff you can do. Is the account already on Steam? Yeah, it's re-steaming stuff. It's not. And
can you just share the link on the chat so that people can check it out?
I shall do that.
Okay, please do. And thanks again, Steve C. Before we close down the chat tonight, of course, we're going to have a giveaway for our listeners. We're not having too many listeners from North America, so we're not actually going to send out the fasted giveaway tonight. We're going to actually give away to 3 winners of the ones who can answer the question we're just gonna pop now in the chat. So the first 3 to answer correctly the answer will actually win each 50 AFIT tokens. Okay, so yeah, everyone get ready. Okay, we're just gonna type it right now. So the question goes, you guys are just gonna have to read it as I type it. It's about Steve C. Okay, so we have 3 answers already. Steve, what was the correct answer?
So it was 2.5 years ago. So it was August.
Oh, it's me. Okay, so we already have Astrophoto Kevin, we have Practical Eric, and we have Crypto Spa. So congrats to the 3 guys above. Each of you has won 50 AFIT tokens. We'll send you over the winnings in 24 hours. So yeah, we're quite happy with everyone winning. We're just too excited with Steve C. Thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. We'll have another episode next week with another guest and some awesome chat with everyone. Thank you again for joining in. Thanks, Steve. Goodbye, everyone. Good night.